What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Tuesday version of the crossover. How is everybody doing today, man? Long night here in Sacramento last night. Kings looking to clinch. Everything was set up for them. You had the t-shirts, you had the crowd all pumped up, people paying tons of money for tickets to get into that building. It was going to be the 16-year celebration that everybody's been waiting for. Is the team going to leave? Is the team going to stay? Different coaches we've been through, different players, controversies, really lows, and now really highs, all culminating in the Kings with an opportunity. Everybody talks about making the playoffs or securing that playoff spot. Well, last night was more to me about the Kings actually clinching home court advantage for the first round of the playoffs. And unfortunately, they could not get it done against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll kind of break that down, give you my thoughts on the game. Grant and I did a fairly brief post-game show yesterday, just because the mood was a little bit somber for sure. And looking back on it, I'm not sure why it was so somber, because the Kings are in a great position. Awesome position. It's like we took focus off of this season as a whole. We forgot this team was, they have two all-stars, right? Let's start there. If before the season started I said you can have two all-stars, what's up, Frankie? How you doing, buddy? You can have two all-stars. You're going to have somebody that's going to likely be on the All-NBA team. You're going to have somebody that will likely get some MVP votes. You're going to have a first-team All-Rookie, possibly, long shot at this point, Rookie of the Year. You're going to win close to 50 games, but you're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. Everybody would sign up for that. I don't see anybody that would not sign up for that. If you didn't check the crossover out yesterday, really cool episode, had Connor Danzy. He is our Woja win horse, all wrapped into one when it comes to basketball news and knowledge. So that was a fun conversation. Talked NCAA, also talked about the Kings. So anyways, we'll break that down too here in a little bit, just the loss, why they lost, and yeah, exactly. Connor, Connor's funny because his family is all hardcore Husky fans, and I don't see any way that he was not named after UConn. Has to be after UConn. He denies it, but I'm gonna keep cracking at that one. So anyways, yeah, so, and then another interesting story, if you've not heard, coming out of Washington, Bradley Beal. This is it's no surprise with how important sports gambling is to sports these days. It's always been important to sports. That's why a lot of people watch sports. There's so many people that only watch sports because they have a wager on the game. They could care less. They don't have a team. They only care about winning the wager they make that night. But now with DraftKings, now with the legalization of gambling in many states, it's become a bigger deal. What's up, Frank? How did you get your studio background stuff proper? I just hung it up and set it up, but my studio that's being built in the garage is going to be much different, so I'm looking forward to that. And yes, Frank, I will address the flame out. I flamed out today. I take responsibility for that. I will give you a full breakdown of what happened on that. Flamed Out on Jim Rome show. We can get into that. Definitely getting some heat from the JTP as deserved. So that was really. Oh, it's a setting in the cameras, so I can just flip it around if I want. So I decided to flip it. So anyways, yeah, that was bad. That was really bad. It was just a perfect storm of mistakes. So anyways, Kings. So last night, let's talk about this. There were, yeah, you got it, man. There's a lot of fun stuff we can do with the program that we use to stream shows. So I can change my background. I can flip the camera. It's a lot of fun. So, anyways, Kings last night. Karl Anthony Towns does not play for the Timberwolves. Fine, okay. Then we get the report that Anthony Edwards is doubtful. So you're thinking this is the story of the second half of the season for the Kings. Every team that they have played, it seems like a star or a starter has been out, whether it's for load management, whether it's for, a legit reason. And I personally was disappointed when I heard that, because this close to the playoffs, especially with Minnesota flirting with that 7-6 seed, maybe even an 8 seed, I wanted to see them at full strength. I wanted to see Minnesota. I wanted to get a preview of what it would be if we played them in the playoffs. I didn't want to see the Kings play the bench players for Minnesota. And sure enough, Anthony Edwards went, and I respect the hell out of Anthony Edwards. He was asked about load management in the NBA, and just kind of the culture of that. And Anthony Edwards, he didn't pull any punches, and it was a refreshing take. He said, look, I respect the money these guys or these fans pay to come watch us play. There's a kid in the upper deck that this is the only game he gets to attend all year. Maybe he's a T-Wolves fan, maybe he's a Kings fan, but I deserve to be out there on the court, giving my best and giving them the experience that they paid for. And so that's so refreshing. It is more refreshing than a glass of lemonade on a summer day in the shade on the beach. So Edwards played. So that was actually for me a good thing, because now we're going to see mostly what the Timberwolves can do. Karl Anthony Towns, it's debatable whether the T-Wolves are better with him or without him. They played most of the season without him. He's missed 52 or 53 games due to a calf strain. And, him and Gobert, with the way the NBA is now and how it's so three-point crazy, it's not really big man friendly unless you're a big man that can step beyond the arc and shoot the three. You don't see teams really go all in with trying to get two big men and make that the center of their offense, because as much of it as it can be an asset, it could also be a liability, because the two big men, they might not be able to run the floor. They might not be able to mesh well together. Well, it just so happens for the Kings do not deal well with length. And that was evident in a lot of games this season. Toronto game for one, Utah, actually, surprisingly, and Minnesota in all meetings. Minnesota beat the Kings in the season series this year. And did they? I think the Kings won by 7 in the first two. I'll have to go check that. But the first two games were really close. 7 points each separated the teams. Minnesota got the Kings with a 14-point victory, and then last night a 4-point victory, which really the final score doesn't tell the story of that game, because Minnesota missed a ton of free throws down the stretch. But the Kings, this length, it's a problem. It It causes issues with the passing lanes. It causes issues being driven off the 3-point line. It causes issues with the pick and roll. And never more evident than last night. The Kings, they are a team that typically shoots almost 37 3-pointers a game. The Kings last night shot under 30 3-point attempt, or they had under 30 3-point attempts. In fact, the Kings had 27 3-point attempts last night. And they didn't shoot it well. They were 5 of 27. So there's one thing right there. You have basically 10 less 3-point attempts for a team that shoots the 3-ball extremely well. The second thing was assists. So the Kings usually are in the mid-20s for assists. When they hit 30 assists, it's almost guaranteed to be a win. Last night, they only had, I believe it was 14 assists, I want to say. 17 assists, excuse me. And their turnovers were way up. And that just screams to me, absolutely screams to me, that the ball was not moving. And number two, the passing lanes, the typical cuts that you see Kevin Huerter make, the typical cuts that Harrison Barnes makes, those lanes where the ball gets thrown in typically by Sabonis, by Fox, by Monk, those are harder passes now because you've got a guy that is long and he can bat that away. You have to, make much more of an effort to get that ball where it needs to be. And you saw it was a recipe for the Kings to lose. And the Kings really didn't even make a run last night. There was never that signature run, and the crowd was just waiting for it. And by the way, come on, Golden One Center, Kings fans, when they do a shirt giveaway like that, especially this close to the playoffs, and especially when it's the same color as the uniform that the team is wearing that night, you've got to wear your shirts, man. Cool, you're an adult with a uniform. Who cares? Put your damn shirt on and do a gray out. It's so ridiculous. I'm sure if I go on Craigslist right now, there's probably those shirts for sale every which way you look. But dude, be a part of the spirit of it. Be one with the team. And it wasn't. It was scattered. It's almost like the people there last night, a lot of them didn't know how to be playoff fans. It was weird. It was just a weird atmosphere, even from the tip. But sorry, that's a little sidetrack, little rant that I had to throw in there. But getting back to the game, the Kings just never made that run. I thought there were a couple times Coach Brown could have challenged some calls that may have been significant, could have been momentum affecting. The most significant of which was when Kevin Huerter was called for his 5th foul in the 3rd quarter. I don't think that was a foul. I think that would have been overturned. Kevin had just started kind of warming up. He had hit a couple shots. That would have been a great time to challenge that call because that gets overturned. And then the momentum kind of starts building some more. You give Kevin an opportunity to stay in the game, but Coach Brown did not do that. Kevin comes out of the game. And that little spark in the 3rd that we thought may turn into a flame just did not happen. So I guess what I'm getting at is I'm a little worried if we see Minnesota in the postseason. They're one of the teams, if you follow Grant's shows that I'm on with him, if you follow the shows that we do with Jerry Reynolds, they are one of the teams that I genuinely worry about. And they're kind of peaking at the right time, and it begs the question: are the Kings now? Have they already peaked? Have we seen the best of the Kings? Are we yet to see the best of the Kings? So it should be interesting. Everybody seemed to be healthy coming out of it, which is always a good thing. So we'll see what happens. The Kings likely will clinch before they play again against Portland. But you never know. You never know. Um, anyways, I'm sitting here having a great Tuesday, talking with the boys, taking care of business, doing some things I need to do, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a run at my golden ticket. I'm on the watch list. I want to keep it fresh. Talking Jim Rome show now, and I had my bullet points. I was ready to go. Good transition because Coach Dutch was on earlier. And oh my gosh, I flamed out. It couldn't have gone worse. I got jittery a little bit with the intro, not gonna lie. And then and I take full responsibility, complete responsibility. It was not good material, but then somebody started calling me, and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm trying to get to the voicemail or hit voicemail and make sure I don't hang up the actual call when you're on national freaking radio and TV. And it was a wreck. So everybody tweeting about it. You're right. Back to the back of the line. And that's all right. I will be back. But yes, I definitely flamed out. It was an awful, awful, awful call. But like I said, I promise you, I will be back. And not going to say I get a golden ticket, but I'm certainly going to make it interesting. So anyways, I'll take questions on that if you have any. Or if you just want to make fun of me, go for it. Now's the time. But anyways, so yesterday I wanted to remind you, please go check out. You will not be disappointed. Check out the show with Grant Napier and Sean Salisbury. It was great. It was bigger than sports. It's worth 25 minutes. I think Tin said it was like exactly 29 minutes or 31 minutes. It's worth that much of your time to go watch that. You can watch that on Grant Napier's YouTube channel. If you don't like that, go check it out. It was great stuff. All right, so let's talk a little bit about gambling, right? We all know that sports gambling is kind of a big deal right now. And well, it's been on the rise, right? And with the legalization, more and more people are doing it. And I actually, it being legalized for people that are 18 and older, I'm all good with that. Because if you're doing it through a legal site and you're betting money that you have in your account, doesn't mean you should be spending it. But money you have in your account, then you don't have to worry about the back end and having somebody come after you, a bookie. It's less dangerous, not less addictive. It is still just as addictive. It's the same thing. It is 100% pure gambling. But the consequences are not the same as if you were dealing with something that is not legal. We'll just leave it at that. Go ask Michael Francis. But we've seen terrible refereeing in the NBA. Terrible refereeing. We've seen a lot of people with fantasy teams where, they're getting upset because a player doesn't do X, Y, or Z. We've seen awful beats like in the NCAA tournament. The Gonzaga game where the other team hits the three with 0.7 seconds left from like half court when the game was already over. And that swung a ton of money. Somebody, I believe it was the MGM Sportsbook, said it was like the worst beat and the biggest swing since like the 1990s. So, anyways, when you're gambling, whether if you're a responsible gambler and you only gamble what you can lose, right? Then sure, it sucks if you lose, but I don't think that what's the right word, that not violence but that anger about losing is as bad. You understand going into it, you could lose. A lot of people assume they're going to lose, right? But then you got the flip side of people that, like I said, the money might be in the account. Doesn't mean you can lose it. You can afford to gamble it. And sometimes those people, they make wagers they should not make, but they get blinded by the gain and they don't think about the other side of the consequence if they don't win. And that's where that friction comes in. And with the bad refereeing and just some bad coaching at times, a lot of players sitting in the NBA with load management at the last second, it's caused some instability with wagering. But fans are starting to go over the top to approach a player like Bradley Beal and F-bomb him out about your bet. Come on. And if people, we've seen fan conduct actually at games start to get pretty bad. And if people are willing to sit in $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 seats and get kicked out of courtside just because they don't care about the money at that point that they paid to sit there, that's how important it is to get your point across to some of these guys. If we see people that are willing to do that, you can only assume that you're going to see more of this, where people are losing bets and going after the player, blaming the player. Hell, it already happens nonstop on Twitter. Go check, go search somebody, search a player the last time there was a bad beat or something happened, and look at latest. And I can guarantee you there's going to be people up and down. Oh, if you wouldn't have taken that last second shot, I would have had the under. Why didn't you grab it? And really hateful stuff. Like, if you're an athlete, you almost have to have an extra layer below you to filter that shit out if you're going to be on Twitter. I mean, some athletes, you can make the argument you shouldn't even be on Twitter if you can't handle what you're going to see, because the majority of it's going to be negative. You're not going on Twitter for the positive if you are a public figure. Let's just put it that way. And, I get that being on Twitter, if you are a public figure, then there are likely going to be opportunities for advertising and money streams or monetization. So I get that, but you gotta have a little salt in there with the sugar, or I should say a little sugar in there with the salt. So you gotta have somebody helping you out and watching that stuff, because a lot of this stuff is nasty. I mean, even us, we joke around with the JTP, and we'll send stuff back and forth, but it's not serious. We're not really saying that stuff. Now, there is a small minority of people that send hateful stuff and actually mean it. And everybody who has Twitter has gotten that or seen that. So anyways, I guess what I'm saying is this problem is going to keep your eye on it. It's going to get much worse before it gets better. And it's going to come to a point where a referee is going to be approached somewhere. Somebody is going to find out where an athlete lives and show up. Like, I just feel like we're starting to reach that area, and I really hope I'm wrong. But if you're bold enough to stop them and cuss them out, and it's not a good deal. So anyways, I wanted to hit on that. The Washington Commanders up for sale. Looks like some offers are coming through for them. Very interesting indeed. Tillman Fertitta's team is interested in buying that, or buying the Commanders or the football team, whatever the hell you want to call them these days. But there is some movement on that. So anyways, I'm going to make a quick crossover today. It's a little bit of a rainy day. I've got some stuff to do, but I did want to come on and just share some thoughts on some things. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Maybe I'll come back later tonight. We'll see. But hope everybody has a great rest of the day. The crossover is going to continue, and we're gonna have some awesome guests. I've got them lined up already, so we can't wait for you to be a part of that. And anyways, for now, Ryan in Sacktown signing off. Have a great day.